Welcome back, everyone, for another deep dive. This time, we're exploring something pretty unique.
Yeah.
The concept of Flamma Indomita. And, you might not have heard of this before.
Right.
Because it's not like a traditional, god or goddess or anything.
Exactly.
It's more like a mythical embodiment
Yeah.
of the queer community spirit. And we're going to be using two sources to really unpack this idea.
Yeah, okay.
We have an excerpt that directly talks about Flamma Indomita.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have this short story called The Library's Flame.
Cool.
So that's what we're going to be diving into.
Sounds good.
So what's interesting to me right off the bat
Yeah.
is this idea of Flamma Indomita as like a metaphor.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's not just this one being, it's like...
It's more like a representation, I think, of like the collective strength and resilience of the queer community throughout history.
Okay.
And it's fueled by, their shared experiences.
Okay, so like both the good and the bad.
Yeah, exactly. The triumphs and the struggles all kind of woven together.
So it's like Flamma Indomita is like the spirit of the community itself.
I think that's a really good way to put it.
But where does this even come from?
Like, how did this figure even emerge?
Yep.
Well, the excerpt suggests that Flamma Indomita's origins are like deeply rooted in the history of the queer community. It's almost like this figure was forged, in those hidden spaces where queer individuals found solace and connection.
Especially during times of persecution.
Exactly when they had to be hidden.
Right.
And it makes me think about how those hidden spaces weren't just about finding safety, but also about creating and sharing stories.
Oh, that's a good point.
So could those stories be part of what, shaped Flamma Indomita?
That's a really interesting thought.
Because for much of history, queer communities had to rely on, word-of-mouth secret gatherings, coded language, to connect and share their experiences.
Yeah.
And so stories became this vital way to pass on knowledge, build community, and resist attempts to silence them.
So, in a way, Flamma Indomita could be seen as like a guardian of those stories.
Oh, I like that.
Like a collector of queer history and lore passed down through generations.
Yeah.
Like they embody that chain of experiences.
That unbroken chain.
Yeah, ensuring that those voices are never lost.
Exactly. And if we consider those big moments in queer history,
okay,
like the Stonewall Riots or the AIDS crisis, it adds another layer to how we understand Flamma Indomita.
Because those events weren't just about external struggles, but also about internal growth and resilience.
Yeah, absolutely.
Within the community.
Precisely. Stonewall, with its fiery defiance, might represent Flamma Indomita's strength in the face of oppression.
And then the AIDS crisis, which was obviously a time of immense loss and sorrow, speaks to Flamma Indomita's capacity for empathy.
For sure.
And remembrance.
Yeah, carrying the weight of those experiences, but also the hope and love that emerged from them.
It's interesting how these historical events almost seem to be woven into the very fabric of Flamma Indomita.
Absolutely.
Shaping their identity and purpose. It's like Flamma Indomita has always existed, guiding the community through these pivotal moments.
I like that idea, and that brings us to the description of Flamma Indomita's appearance, which is incredibly symbolic. Imagine a figure that's constantly shifting and changing, embodying the diverse spectrum of the queer community. Flames in pride colors, flowing hair.
Whoa.
A blend of defiance and warmth.
So it's not just a static image?
No, it's not a static image at all. It's a reflection of the constant evolution and fluidity within the community itself.
Oh, so it's like a tapestry of all these individual stories.
Exactly.
Each one kind of contributing to this larger, ever-changing form.
I wonder if Flamma Indomita appears differently to each person, reflecting their own unique connection to the community and its history.
What comes to mind for you when you picture Flamma Indomita?
That's a great question for the listeners to think about.
Yeah.
Now, what's also really interesting is that the excerpt hints at Flamma Indomita's powers.
Oh?
Specifically, this ability to inspire courage and a sense of belonging.
Especially when someone's feeling lost.
Exactly, especially when they're feeling lost or alone.
That resonates so deeply, especially when you think about young queer people. Who are just discovering themselves.
Yeah.
Imagine, stumbling upon a story or a piece of art that makes you feel seen for the first time.
Right.
Like a spark igniting within you.
Totally.
Could that be Flamma Indomita at work?
That's a fascinating idea,
Yeah.
like guiding you towards that connection.
Like Flamma Indomita understands the power of stories to heal, to empower, to connect us.
Across time and space.
And that's where the short story, The Library's Flame, comes in.
Right.
It beautifully illustrates this idea of Flamma Indomita's presence within literature.
Okay.
Particularly stories that speak to the queer experience.
Got it.
It's about a young, lonely, queer student named Maya who finds solace and connection through books in her high school library.
Interesting. So the library itself becomes like a symbolic space.
Yeah.
A repository of not just knowledge, but also a safe haven for Maya to explore her identity.
It's interesting how those books aren't just stories for Maya.
Right.
They're almost like portals into a shared history.
Yeah.
A lineage of queer experiences.
Like she's connecting with the spirit of Flamma Indomita through these narratives.
And it's really remarkable because The Library's Flame isn't just a story about finding oneself through literature.
Okay.
It's also a story about Flamma Indomita.
Whoa.
It's like the figure is reaching out.
Through the story itself.
Yeah, through the very act of storytelling.
That's so meta.
Creating this self-referential loop
that
reinforces its own existence and purpose.
It's like Flamma Indomita is both the subject and the author of these stories.
Weaving together this tapestry of experiences that guide and inspire generations of queer individuals.
And in that sense, The Library's Flame becomes a powerful example of Flamma Indomita passing on the torch, using literature as a conduit to connect with those in need of its guidance.
Right.
Yeah. So that's a great start. Yeah, it's like Flamma Indomita just gets it, you know?
Yeah.
Understands that stories aren't just entertainment.
Right.
They're a lifeline, a way to say you're not alone in a world that often tries to silence queer voices.
Yeah, and it makes you think about the intentionality.
Right.
Behind it all, it's not just about passively collecting stories.
No, it's
It's about actively using them to guide, to inspire, to empower.
And that connects to this idea of Flamma Indomita as a guardian of queer history.
Right.
It's not just about preserving the past, but ensuring that it continues to resonate and have meaning in the present.
Like they're not just relics in a museum.
Exactly.
They're living, breathing narratives.
That continue to shape the queer experience.
Right. And that brings us back to those specific books that Maya finds in the library.
Giovanni's Room and Fun Home.
Right. Giovanni's Room and Fun Home.
These weren't just groundbreaking works of literature. They were acts of defiance.
Oh, wow.
Bold declarations of selfhood in a time when being queer was often met with hostility and prejudice.
So Giovanni's Room, for example, it explored same-sex love.
Right.
With this rawness and honesty that challenged societal norms.
Absolutely.
And helped countless readers understand their own feelings.
And Fun Home delved into the complexities of family identity coming to terms with one's sexuality.
And it resonated
deeply with a generation of readers.
Yeah. It's amazing how these stories chosen by Maya in this seemingly ordinary high school library become catalysts for her own self-discovery.
It's like Flamma Indomita is whispering to her, you know, here, read this. This will speak to you.
Like curating a personalized syllabus.
Yes.
For her.
Drawing from this vast library of queer experiences to guide her.
And that guidance isn't just about finding comfort and belonging.
Right.
It's also about igniting a spark of activism.
Yes.
A desire to challenge the status quo and fight for a more just and equitable world.
Think about how those books and countless others like them have fueled the fight for LGBTQ plus rights.
Right.
They've helped to change hearts and minds, spark conversations, inspire a generation of activists to demand equality.
It's like those stories become weapons against ignorance and prejudice.
Wielded with the strength and resilience that Flamma Indomita embodies.
And what's really powerful is that The Library's Flame also touches on this idea of passing on the torch. You know, Maya, inspired by the stories she reads, goes on to create a queer book club. Sharing these narratives with others.
Expanding that circle of understanding and acceptance.
That's such a beautiful example of how Flamma Indomita's influence just ripples outward.
It's not just about one person finding solace. It's about creating spaces where others can do the same.
So Maya becomes a torchbearer herself.
Carrying forward the flame of queer history and experience, ensuring that it continues to burn brightly.
It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Right. Well,
Flamma Indomita inspires these stories, which in turn inspire individuals to become torchbearers.
Perpetuating the cycle of resilience and growth within the community.
And this raises an interesting question.
Okay.
If Flamma Indomita has always been present, guiding and shaping the queer experience through stories, what does that mean for the future of the community?
That's a powerful question.
What stories are yet to be told?
Right.
What new forms of expression will emerge? And how will Flamma Indomita continue to evolve alongside the community, adapting to new challenges, celebrating new victories?
And more importantly, how can you as an individual contribute to this ongoing narrative?
What stories do you hold within you that could inspire others?
What unique experiences can you share that might add to this ever-expanding tapestry of queer history?
It's not just about passively consuming stories.
It's about participating.
It's about actively participating
in their creation and dissemination.
Each of us has the potential to be a storyteller, a torchbearer.
Carrying forward the flame of Flamma Indomita in our own unique way.
And that brings us to our final thoughts on Flamma Indomita. So we've spent this deep dive exploring this idea of Flamma Indomita. This fascinating figure who embodies the spirit of the queer community.
Absolutely. And it's been a journey. Through history, literature, personal experience. All kind of woven together by this idea of stories as a lifeline. A way to connect and find strength.
It's striking to me how Flamma Indomita isn't just a symbol for the queer community, but also a testament to the power of storytelling itself.
Absolutely. It speaks to that universal human need to share our experiences, to find meaning in them, and pass them on to others.
Thinking back to Maya in the library's flame, it's like each of us has the potential to become a torchbearer.
To carry that flame forward.
Maybe not literally, but by embracing the stories that have shaped us and sharing them with the world.
So whether it's writing your own story, supporting queer artists and creators, or simply being open and authentic about your own journey.
You're contributing to this ongoing narrative of resilience and hope.
And it makes you realize that Flamma Indomita isn't some static figure stuck in the past.
No.
It's a living, breathing concept.
It's evolving.
That continues to evolve.
Right alongside the community.
Alongside the community.
Embracing new voices, new stories, new forms of expression.
So as you reflect on this deep dive, think about how Flamma Indomita might be present in your own life.
What stories have resonated with you?
What sparks have ignited your own journey?
Of self-discovery and activism.
And how can you, in your own unique way, become a part of this ever-burning flame?
Because even the smallest act of sharing, creating, or simply listening can have a profound impact.
Flamma Indomita ultimately reminds us that the queer experience is not about isolation, but about connection, resilience.
And the power of stories to illuminate the path forward. Well, thank you so much for joining us for this deep dive into Flamma Indomita.
It's been a pleasure.
We'll see you next time.
See you later.